Yeah, my daughter's name is Breklyn. The one thing I would share with the world is not many people get to necessarily get to spend any time at all, or depending on how they're lost. But I got to hear my daughter's voice for probably a good 10 hours before she passed away, and actually have a recording. So something that will always stick with me.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it, and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us. And I would love to hear the story of your daughter's, the pregnancy, your daughter's birth, your daughter's life, and then a little bit of the after of the burial and your healing. So I'll turn the time over to you. You tell me what you want to tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lee. So if I kind of reflect back to 2016, actually it would be 2015 because she would have been born in 16. But
Yeah.
Corchele and I were just kind of looking to add to our family, and we found out we were pregnant. I was super excited. It had been my first, essentially, biological daughter. I had Cambria at the time, who's 3, so we were excited to kind of expand our family, something very brand new to me, super excited. We were pregnant, and I absolutely had no idea what to expect, right? So we kind of went through the typical doctor appointments and the different checkups. Everything seemed normal, that we were moving along and preparing to bring her home, and the things parents typically do. And certainly that changed. So it was in May on a Saturday in 2016. Corchele had mentioned her water broke. We went to the hospital like anyone would do, right? And
Yeah.
so they're doing their tests, and they check for something specific if your water has broken. And at the time, they told us no. And within an hour and a half, we were on our way back home to continue the wait. Sunday came around, and she continued to have contractions, and it got a little bit worse. So we went back to the hospital, and at that time they checked us in, and we got a room. And so obviously super excited and kind of waiting for the natural process to take place. And I can vividly remember Corchele, myself, and the doula, doing laps in the hospital. She's eating ice chips, and they say walking, I guess, is good to kind of help the process. And we went back into the room for the standard checkup, see how things are going. And I remember it flipped on a dime. Within 5 minutes, there's emergency staff running into the room. I was in scrubs. Someone was putting me in scrubs, and we're being wheeled back to a surgery room. So obviously super scary. They didn't have a lot of time to communicate what was going on. So I had no idea what was going on, where we were going. It was moving, that quickly.
Yeah. So did they tell you anything? They just said, we need to get Corchele into surgery. Did they just say, stay tuned, or very
No real
minimal
direction.
information to you? So
no, nothing they revealed to me at the time. It wasn't until we're in the surgery room and they began, hooking up different things, and there's a big screen, right?
Yeah.
Where her head would be, and that's kind of where I stayed. I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate blood and any of that sort of stuff. So I was okay with that. I just knew or could tell something was going on, and they began the C-section, and that's at what time a nurse began to kind of tell me what's going on. They saw a dramatic decline in heart
Okay.
and some other suspected complications, and they thought it was best to deliver now. Super, again, super scary experience at that point. Corchelle is out of it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
For pain and so forth. And I vividly remember the doctor holding her in the air and saying, "Sorry, your baby has died." Pretty blunt. Or your baby's not going to make it, something of that realm. And at that point, I moved to the room beside where they do the weighing and,
Yeah.
you know, some of that process. And that's really when the nurses explain, something took place. Your daughter's going to have to go on life support. So she's rushed into life support. And again, very new to the process in the NICU, and there's a bazillion wires hooked up and lots going on, and very scary time. I remember there was no cries, no sound, eyes closed, her legs being very blue,
Mm.
but definitely looked like a cute, chubby baby, right? Everything looked normal from that perspective. So, very dramatic. I remember calling family, friends. There's not a lot I could
Yeah.
do specific with Corchelle. She's now recovering and really not knowing what's going on
Yeah.
at that point. And actually, to the point where I fell asleep for about an hour, just so much
Yeah.
emotion and
Yeah.
things going on. And at that point, when someone came in the room, they really kind of started to explain what was going on. She's probably going to be brain dead if she were to make it. Um, Probably will lose a limb. There will be other complications. And so, within a few hours after praying and thinking about it, we decided to take her off life support. And I'll tell you, it was the most amazing thing. After she was taken off life support, we actually gave her a bath like you would do with any newborn baby, dressed her up. And it was almost like she had life
Mhm.
for the next 10 hours. It was like night and day from being hooked up to a machine
Yeah.
to not. Now we knew that she wasn't going to make it and it was a matter of time, but I'm just so grateful we got the experience to do some of those a new parent might not get to do,
Yeah.
depending on their story, and talk to her and hold her in the room. And so it was a pretty cool experience. In fact, some of my family, my parents and so forth, actually made it into Utah before, she finally passed away. But I recall the very moment she is literally talking to me in my arms as I'm sitting on the couch in the room. And that's when the nurse, put the thing up again. And before she did, I could already tell she passed away. She was completely like there was no weight anymore. I couldn't really even feel anymore. It was almost like she was lifted up and got her wings. And it was like the most peaceful thing at the same time, very dramatic.
Yeah. Heart wrenching.
So it's kind of what I remember through the process. It was very crazy, lots of emotions. How am I going to work through this?
Yeah.
At the same time, there's a lot of things that I was very thankful for that we got to do that maybe someone else might not have been able to.
Now, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How long were you and Corchelle in the surgery for the C-section? Was it a pretty quick surgery? Because our first daughter was born cesarean, and it was, they took Winter back, and 15 minutes later they came and got me, and 10 minutes later, our daughter was born. They stitched Winter up, and then we were out of the room. So probably only 40 minutes for the whole thing. Was it about maybe 45 minutes for you guys, or was this a more complicated surgery
No,
on
it was about the same time.
Corchelle?
I remember about 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Now, I didn't get taken into the room later. I was in there from the
from
get
from
as
the
they
get
were
go.
wheeling her in.
Yeah,
But it was a very, very fast
fast.
and scary
Yeah,
process, right?
yeah,
It happened so quickly, not a lot of explanation
yeah.
until they're really going through the C-section, but it went really, really quickly.
similar situation where it was a quick thing, and you
Mhm.
had 10 hours with your daughter Breklyn, on life support and off on life support, or total with Breklyn after
10
birth.
hours after she was removed from life support.
And how long was she on life support for? Maybe
Yeah, so it was early in the morning when this is happening. I want to say
a couple hours.
7, 8 hours,
Oh,
probably
okay.
ish. I could be off a little bit, but that's kind of what I remember.
Yeah.
It was all within 24 hours, though.
What did you do with that day? You said you got to wash Breklyn. You changed diapers, changed clothes. You cuddled with her. Did you guys get some photos with your daughter?
Yeah, so we did get to do a bathing. We got to have friends and family visit. We definitely did lots and lots of photos. We probably have hundreds of them, and
Oh, good.
the hospital was very good in the fact that they helped facilitate a lot of that. As you
Oh,
can
good.
imagine, when you go through something like that, it's pretty difficult. So
Yeah.
they were pretty good with taking care of that. And I'll tell you, when she passed away too, it wasn't like they took her away. They actually allowed us to hang out with her for probably another 2 days
Oh,
while we're at the hospital. Certainly at night they have to take her away and do what they do, but it was cool to just kind of experience that. And
now after the maybe about 3 days, would you say that you were in the hospital?
I think it was about 5, 6 days.
5, 6 days. After about 5, 6 days, how did you guys decide? Did you guys decide to have a funeral, or did you decide to have a service for Breklin, or
Yeah, no, good question. It You have to make a lot of those decisions
yeah,
very quickly,
you
right?
do.
Which
It's
we
hard.
learned and not something you expected. Yeah, very hard. So we ultimately decided to do a burial in a casket, and then do a open casket as well. And then we did a ceremony at the cemetery.
How was that day? Because we're in Utah too, and May is sometimes it's the most beautiful month. Sometimes it's pretty muddy. How was the funeral? How was the funeral?
Yeah, so it was a sunny day, and we did the ceremony at our we did a viewing the day prior. The next day we did a service at our church. I remember it being sunny, a lot of people there. It was a beautiful service. We actually played a video of a lot of the photos and the process. And I do remember I was prepared to be this big tough guy and say a speech about my daughter. I was set on that was going to happen. I'll tell you, with the emotions that day, there was no way I could even talk. But from there at the church, we I got to carry the casket, and we got to ride in the, whatever you want to call them, the limo or
Yeah,
the car that they bring to the
the cemetery.
cemetery. And then from there, we did like another burial type service and got to do flowers and pictures. And but yeah, as you said, in Utah, it can be interesting depending on which May it wants to be.
Yeah.
But luckily, it was sunny and just a beautiful day to remember.
When we buried Brannon, I was a mess, but somehow I was able to stand up, and I don't even remember what I said, but I said something through tears and through mumbling. But yeah, it's such an emotional day. It's such a day of sadness, a day to be proud, because here you are, a parent doing a service for your child. So it mixed bag of emotions. So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, nothing. You never expect that you bury your child right before you,
no,
and
no.
so and certainly not that quickly. Um, but yeah, it's definitely learned. This was in 2016, but didn't think at that time the long grief journey we were about to head through. So
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about your healing after. As a father, as a partner with your fiance, how was your healing? What did you have? I'm sure sadness and depression, but did you also find good? Did you, how was it for you?
Yeah, so it was very tough. Obviously, I'm worried about her and making sure she's fine. We were lucky enough to have some of my family stay for about a month and really help, because as you're grieving too, and you have the burial of your daughter, and then she's dealing with the C-section too, right? That
Mhm.
you have to heal through as well. But there's a few things I remember. When we were at the hospital, we were given this kit of an unstuffed bear and some heart necklaces and other things. And so, a couple things I really did that helped me connect with her is, one, I buried her in my Sounders scarf, right? Part of me to her, but she also wore a heart necklace that matched with mine. I like to keep her pacifier on my keychain, is kind of something to remember as well. But I was really worried about Corchele. And then at the same time, I knew that I had to go through the process as well. And so I did a lot of posting on social media. And it's interesting about that, because people, you found kind of who's your close friends or not, because they begin to delete, or why do you keep doing this? But
Yeah.
everybody goes through it different. And so I found mine changed over the years, but I like to talk to about her a lot.
Yeah.
I like to show things. And as I think about moving forward today, anytime I go to a restaurant where I have to use a name, I always use the name Breck, because when they call us for a table, I like to hear somebody call her name.
Yeah.
And then we have our unstuffed Breck bear that is in our photos. She goes on vacation, to dinner, wherever we go. So it's a part of our family. And so those things have kind of helped me through my journey.
I'm a little ignorant. What is an unstuffed bear? Is it just a bear without any of the stuffing, so it's easy to like fold up, or what's an unstuffed bear?
Yeah. So if you think of, have you ever been to Build a Bear?
Yeah.
When you go to Build a Bear, you pick the animal. And before you go to stuff it, that's kind of the unstuffed
Oh, okay.
bear. So it allowed us to take the bear to Build a Bear when we were ready, and stuff it and kind of go through the process. Luckily, we had a name, and so our bear was named, obviously, Breck Bear. But it's just another way to kind of go through the process
Okay.
and kind of let go or connect, and a cool way to keep her a part of the family today.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So you gone through the process of stuffing the Breck bear, or is it still without the stuffing?
No, we have stuffed. We
Okay,
did that in the first year.
gotcha.
So yeah, that's
Uh,
all done. But we originally received it unstuffed.
okay, yeah. All right. I'm now getting it. I'm now getting it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if it was like, just for ease of transport, yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
you don't stuff it, then you could take it wherever you want,
yeah.
throw it in a backpack and you could take it. But yeah, we have something similar. So with our first daughter, oh, we she has these little stuffed opossums, and they are ugly as can be. They are lifelike stuffed possums. And then with Brandon, I bought red pandas, and now that he's no longer with us, we all have our own red panda.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's your Breck bear and our red pandas.
Yeah.
It's something, and if you come to our house, our daughter's got her own. I've got my own. My wife's got her own, and they're throughout the house. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
That's
nice. It's
very
nice.
cool.
The Breck bear just seems so special to you, so endearing to you. So I'm
Yep.
glad I'm glad to talk about it with you. So
Yeah. I mean, between that and, like I said, the name thing at restaurants, and it is the coolest thing when you go into Outback Steakhouse and you hear the waitress say Breklyn.
yeah,
And so
party of
just
two,
another
Breklin.
way.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So just
Oh,
another way to we've found uh connect.
oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, Mark, is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the birth story of your daughter, Breklin?
No, I think I shared most of it. what happened through the process. We were just lucky to have friends, family. We had a doula that was there that allowed us. I think one of the things they would share, we found out it was called chorio, and it's called chorioamnitis, and it's an infection that the mom can get and pass to the baby, or
Oh.
vice versa. I would also share that the first day when we came in and the water broke, that was a big deal. And if you look at the state of Utah and their process now, Breklyn helped to change the intake for
Hmm.
a mom and a water breaking. So there's some requirements such as lab testing, the time to hold the mom there when there's suspected water breaking. And so that whole intake process throughout the state of Utah was reviewed by a board with Corchele and I involved, and has been changed.
Oh.
So they think there was some things that maybe didn't take place that should have. And so, you hate to say that everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason, because I
Yeah.
hate that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but I always look for positives, or, something bad or dramatic that happens, and the good, and hopefully that saves somebody down the
Yeah.
road.
Well, the legacy of your daughter, it is terrible that this had to happen to you and your family, but the legacy that she has helped create is now blessing people as well. And
Absolutely.
it's terrible that this had to happen to you guys. This, you never wish this for anybody. But like
Yep.
you said, looking on the positive and looking at the legacy of your daughter Breklyn, that you guys were able to help revise and help adjust for good, for better. That's amazing. That's good.
Yeah. Very well said. I completely agree. It's super cool.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your daughter Breklyn with us. Thank you for sharing her life and everything. So, thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate it. Appreciate you telling the story of Breklyn.